Have you ever felt like your mind won't stop? That your thoughts are racing out of control, your memory is failing, and your fatigue seems to never end? This could be a sign that your mind is overloaded, and you're not alone. Many people today live like this, stuck in a fast-paced life that wears out their bodies and emotions. Signs that your mind needs a break. Some common symptoms of this mental exhaustion are difficulty concentrating, reading a page and forgetting what you read, frequent forgetfulness, not remembering where you put your keys or what you were going to do, tired even without physical exertion, waking up tired as if you hadn't slept, poor sleep, waking up several times during the night or feeling that rest doesn't refresh you. This happens because the brain, when overloaded, begins to turn off some functions to protect itself. It's not laziness or a lack of intelligence. It's a warning that something needs to change. Why do we suffer even before something bad happens? One of the biggest wastes of energy is suffering over things that haven't even happened yet. We get anxious, imagining future problems, or dwelling on past mistakes, as if rehashing a wound would help heal it. But it doesn't help. It only increases the pain. It's as if our minds have an addiction to negative thoughts. Instead of remembering the good things, we get stuck in hurts, criticisms, and frustrations. And without realizing it, we become our own enemies, feeding an anguish that doesn't need to exist. When being a perfectionist slows down your life, many people think that demanding too much of themselves is a positive thing. After all, those who don't demand too much won't get far, right? Wrong. Excessive demands only lead to more stress and fewer results. Who has never caught themselves thinking, I need to do everything perfectly. I can't make a mistake, or they'll criticize me. If I don't push myself, I won't succeed. This type of thinking doesn't motivate, it only paralyzes. People who live this way may even be successful, but they often feel empty, as if nothing is enough. How to calm your mind and live better? There is no magic formula, but small changes can make a big difference. Slow down. If your body is asking for rest, slow down. It is not weakness, it is necessity. Stop reliving the past. What has already happened cannot be changed. Focus on what you can control now. Take care of your sleep. Sleeping well is essential for mental health. Don't suffer over things that have not yet happened. Anxiety does not prevent problems. It only steals your peace. Practice self-care. Set aside time for simple things that bring you joy, such as a hobby or a moment of silence. We live in a world that values speed, but the human mind has limits. If you identify with these signs, it may be time to rethink your lifestyle. It is not about abandoning goals or dreams, but about finding a balance where mental health is not sacrificed. Because, at the end of the day, what's the point of conquering the world if your mind is always tired and your heart is heavy? Breathe. Slow down. Live. Your mind will thank you. Prayer for peace of mind and heart. Lord of life and serenity, today I come to you with my tired mind and my troubled heart. You who know my every thought, help me find rest. When my mind won't stop thinking, give me the wisdom to pause. When the past haunts me, teach me to let go of what I can no longer change. Free me from anxiety about the future and from the burden of perfection that does not exist. Help me to understand that I can be kind to myself, that I can make mistakes and start over, that I can rest without guilt. Bless my sleep, that it may be restful. Calm my thoughts, that they may find peace. Show me the value of small joys and teach me to live one day at a time. May I not get lost in the rush of the world, but find balance and lightness. May my mind not be my enemy, but rather an ally on the journey of life. Amen. Silence. Between thoughts. Marina woke up exhausted. Again. The alarm clock rang for the third time, but her body felt heavy as if she had run a marathon during the night. In fact, she hadn't run at all. She was just tired of thinking, with her mind exhausted of thoughts. While she was making coffee, she forgot where she had left the bread. When she opened the refrigerator, she couldn't remember what she was going to get. Her days were like this, a haze of forgetfulness and tiredness, as if her mind was always 2 steps behind life. At work, the situation didn't improve. Reports were jumbled up in her head, and each mistake, no matter how small, echoed in her mind as an irreparable failure. I should have done better, she repeated to herself, while her fingers drummed on the table in an anxious rhythm. At night, even exhausted, Marina tossed and turned in bed, reliving old conversations, planning responses she would never use, imagining disasters that would probably never happen. Her pillow held her tears of frustration, not for anything that had happened, but for everything that could go wrong. The day her mind played a trick. It was an ordinary Tuesday morning when her body finally said enough. As she typed frantically on her computer, letters began to dance on the screen. Her hands tingled, and a high-pitched buzzing filled her ears. When she tried to stand up, her legs gave out. "Marina, you're white!" A colleague caught her before she fell. In the emergency room, the diagnosis was simple: anxiety attack. Nothing physical, just a body exhausted by a mind that refused to rest. "Your mind is like an overheated engine," the doctor explained gently. "It turns off parts of itself to survive. Forgetfulness, fatigue, they are cries for help." Learning to listen to the silence. Little by little, Marina began to unlearn the rush. She began to take 5-minute breaks every hour of work, just to breathe. She discovered the silly pleasure of watching the sparrows fly by the apartment window, without judging the wasted time. At night, she created a ritual. She would turn off all her devices an hour before going to bed and read a physical book, without feeling guilty about not being productive. On Sundays, she would walk in the park, not to post photos, but to feel the wind. There were relapses, of course. Some nights, anxiety still whispered in her ear. But now Marina knew how to answer. "Not today. Today, I'm resting." A year later, Marina had not become a perfect person, but she had become present. Her forgetfulness had decreased, her sleep had deepened, and for the first time in years, she noticed the smell of her morning coffee before she even ate it. Then she realized the greatest paradox. The less she ran after life, the more life showed itself to her, not in a whirlwind of empty achievements, but in the small moments of peace that had previously gone unnoticed. And when someone asked her the secret, she would just smile and answer, "I learned to listen to the silence between thoughts." That's where life really happens. We live in an era of toxic productivity, where being busy has become a status symbol and tiredness a trophy. But what happens when our mind, overloaded with thoughts, starts to fail? When forgetfulness becomes frequent, sleep is no longer restful, and the present is swallowed up by anxiety about the future or past hurts. Marina's story is the same as many of us, a perfect metaphor for what happens when we ignore the signals from our body and mind. Her collapse was not a failure, but an urgent message. Life cannot be lived on autopilot. How many times do we demand results from ourselves that once achieved no longer satisfy us? Perfectionism is not a virtue, it is a trap. It makes us chase moving goals as if we were incapable of celebrating what we have already achieved. The irony? The more we pressure ourselves, the less we are able to produce with quality, and above all, with joy. Our brain has a perverse tendency to fixate on what went wrong, as if revisiting the pain could change it. We waste mental energy reliving situations that we cannot change and anticipating problems that may never exist. Meanwhile, the present, the only moment we really have, slips through our fingers. Marina discovered that the cure was not in doing more, but in being more, in allowing herself to take intentional breaks, in rediscovering the pleasure of creative leisure, in listening to her own body. Her greatest lesson was understanding that resting is not a waste of time, it is the preservation of life. Amidst the constant noise of notifications, demands, and self demands, finding moments of stillness has become a revolutionary act. It is in these intervals, between one thought and another, that we catch our breath and rediscover the meaning of what we do. As Marina realized, it is in silence that life whispers its deepest truths. This reflection is not about abandoning ambitions, but about redefining our relationship with time, about exchanging quantity for quality, of thoughts, of hours slept, of moments lived. Because in the end, as Marina's journey reminds us, life is not a marathon of exhaustion, but a dance that demands rhythm, pauses, and, above all, presence. May we learn to slow down before our bodies force us to stop. May we find the courage to tune out external noises and listen to the soft voice of our own humanity. After all, as the poet said, slowly is the way to go, and with an intact soul. Dear tired warrior, if today you woke up exhausted before you even started the day, if your mind feels like a storm of thoughts and your heart feels heavy for no apparent reason, breathe. This message is for you. You are not alone. In this world that taught us to run before we even learned to walk, many of us carry the silent fatigue of an overworked mind. Forgetfulness, difficulty concentrating, sleep that doesn't refresh. These are not your faults. They are signs. How many times have you blamed yourself today for not being productive enough? How many nights have you tossed and turned in bed, ruminating on the past or anticipating problems? Stop. You were not made to live in constant emergency mode. Perfection is a mirage. The more you chase it, the further it gets away. And along the way, you leave pieces of yourself behind. The joy of the process, the lightness of living, the peace of simply being. Life doesn't happen only in great achievements, but in small intervals. In the 5 minutes when you stop just to breathe, in the smell of the breakfast you finally noticed, in the wind that caresses your face during a leisurely walk. These are the moments that truly sustain us. As Marina discovered, the less we chase life, the more it reveals itself to us. You are allowed to rest without guilt, make mistakes, and start over. Say no today to anxiety. Celebrate small victories. Live one day at a time. Remember, you are not a production machine. You are a human being with the right to be tired, to take breaks, and above all, to be happy. Life is not a race, it is a dance. And every good dance has moments of movement, moments of pause, and a lot of awareness in the present body. Today, I invite you to take a 5-minute break just to breathe. Forgive yourself for something from the past that you cannot change. Do something simple that brings you joy. Listen to music. Look at the sky. Drink a cup of tea without rushing. You don't need to conquer the world today. You just need to take care of yourself. Because, in the end, what's the point of winning the whole world if you lose yourself along the way? Breathe, slow down, allow yourself to live. You deserve more than just surviving. You deserve to flourish. With love, someone who is also learning to slow down. So, when your mind insists on running, remember, not today. Today I rest.